obviously we've got a busy show tonight. We've got Scott and Sam, obviously, users on for Rivals Gym. So we'll start sort of from the beginning, and Kieran, bring you in this as well. So obviously these are gym owners. COVID has been running rampant now for basically the full of 2020. So before we start talking about your recent post and what's happening in the future, Scott, what's this year been like for you? How difficult a year has this been?
Well, if you're as far as the whole COVID situation is concerned, for us in our gym, it has been a blessing, as far as a blessing could be considered. We had plans on doing a lot of stuff with our gym, knocking down walls, expanding the gym, renovating the whole place, getting everything in order. If it wasn't for the first lockdown, we wouldn't have had the chance to do that. So thankfully, a lot of our members stayed with us and they stuck by us, because without them, we wouldn't be here right now. We would be shut. Our doors would be shut. So thankfully, I'll be forever grateful to the ones who continue to pay. That gave us that chance to spend that money on the gym. So as when every single student came back, they were mesmerised on how much work we'd put into the gym. And they were obviously glad to be back. As far as Zero Gym should be shut anytime, especially in a pandemic we're in now. So it was a blessing for the first few months to be everything done, and then it was time to open the doors. Yeah,
and like you say there, obviously it's down to your members you've kept open, but just think about that, because obviously, as you all know, there's a lot of gyms that just have not survived this. There's a lot of gyms that haven't had that support base for their members and just haven't managed to get through. So just how much does it mean to you as well that your members have been there for you, and that it's managed to keep the gym and the doors open?
It's second to none. Like, we're a family run. We're actually a charity run martial arts centre, martial arts school, sorry. And we're a family community gym. There's no judgment in our gym. Like, we've got Paulus training with convicts and sparring with each other. The two of them know he's a cop, he's a convict. We're getting on, we're having a dust up, and that's it. Like, and we teach kids with additional support needs on the autism spectrum, Asperger's, etc. And it's like, for everybody to still stick with us and stick by us in this is what a sensational feeling it is.
Yeah, and Kieran, just to get you in as well, obviously it's just the same sort of questions I want to ask you. How has this been for you? How has things affected you this year?
I think kind of we found it harder. Like, it sounds like Sam and Scott's kind of, it's kind of more martial art classes, whereas for me right now it's like more like a kind of premium personal training product. So the problem with that is, like, our price was, like, our monthly membership price is quite high because it's small group personal training. So, like, for a lot of the guys, as soon as like lockdown hit, it's very expensive for them to keep on. So we've seen like a 90% drop in membership, like pretty much overnight. But thankfully for the guys who stayed on, for that kind of 10-15% that stayed on, kind of that was enough to see us through. But I mean, you're talking about like a lot of your revenue just wiped out right overnight. And if it wasn't for those kind of 10-15% staying on, there's no chance we'd have survived, because we didn't get a rent break or nothing. Like, I know some gyms were getting 3 months rent free. Like, we've had to pay rent the whole time. I mean, it was a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. And I guess the other question, just for all these as well, is how have you felt the government have supported you during this? Have you felt just left abandoned? How has that side of things been? Scott, Sam, for you, do you feel the government has supported you at all?
No, absolutely not. We were left to hang and dry. Luckily, it's not luckily at all. Like, the rateable value of our building exceeds what the Scottish Government grant was getting dished out to everybody. Because our building is as big, they shot on us for a high height. It says, listen, your rates are too high. You need to speak to your rates department to get things changed, and it went on for months and months and months. it was rotten. Like, if it wasn't for the members, again, I keep activating this. I'll do that quite often throughout this call. If it wasn't for the members, we wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be a gym.
Yeah, and I mean, that must be a daunting thought, because you guys have been there for a long, long time. I drive by the gym a lot, and I know you guys have been there for a long, long time. That must be a scary thought, to think that something out with your control could just take the gym, that thing you've worked so hard for, away, and take it away for the community as well.
Aye, definitely. And more so the community. Like, more so the community. Like we spoke about just prior to this, I could go and get a job and all the rest of it, and you can work bits and bobs without that, but that's not what we do. Like, this obviously is your full-time job. I don't see it as work, because it's a pure passion for myself and Sam. It's a pure passion, so I'm not actually working. I'm only giving back to the full community. We don't see it as work. But for that possibility to get took away from us would be absolutely soul destroying. Words couldn't put into fruition on how I'd feel regarding us closing. It would be catastrophic. It would be devastating. Yeah,
and what's the saying? It's if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I think that's the saying, isn't it?
My big problem with the government support was, so we were shut like kind of 5-6 months, and then even when we came back, we were like subject to heavy restrictions. Like, gyms got the same support businesses did that were shut for like a month. So we get some of the same support like kind of pubs and restaurants would have got, but they were allowed to open and do takeaway pints, takeaway food and whatever. Like, I want to know the logic on like how they can justify giving us the same money for a business that was maybe shut a month compared to businesses that were shut 5-6 months, and then even when you're letting them back open, they're still heavy restricted.
Is this part of the problem though, that it doesn't seem like there's a clear path for anybody? It seems like they're chopping and changing everything, and you don't really know what the government are actually trying to achieve. It seems like they're being quite selective in where funds are going, and we don't actually know where most of the funds are to be as well. Is that a problem for you guys as well, just not knowing exactly what's going on or what the government are doing?
Well, that's it. It's a bit like, so when they first locked us down, fair enough, everybody's on the same kind of boat, and nobody knew really what was kind of happening or how bad this virus was. But since we opened the doors, we've had over 2,000 visits by our members, and not one positive test. You know, it's like, so we're going to these social distancing guidelines. As I say, our gym's so big. We've got 3 different training areas, over 7,500 square feet. Our full building's 15,000 square feet. So like, we've got so much space to separate people, and getting the same contact and sparring and stuff, but just getting in there, hitting the bag and being part of that community, that environment. So many of our members were missing, and the kids were coming back, their mental health were affected. They were coming back anxious, they didn't know what was going on. Getting these young, confident adults and young, confident teenagers thriving February, March, and now when they come back, it's like they're kind of starting from scratch again. You need to build all that confidence up. And the numbers, so they don't actually add up. We've not had one positive case.
Even as Sam was saying, because Sam was talking about like rivals numbers, like UK Active released like UK figures like 3 days ago, and it was something like out of 64 million gym visits in the UK. There's only been 497 positives.
No, it's actually UK's less than that, believe it or not. That was over 14 countries in Europe.
Or was it?
Yes, and UK alone, there was 22 million gym visits with a mere 78 cases, 0 deaths.
I mean, how can you justify closing gyms? But like the figures don't match up their kind of response and reaction to anything. Like for me, like if you're going to shut businesses down, you need to prove beyond reasonable doubt why they should be shut down. And if you look at those stats, there's no chance that you can shut any of these gyms down.
No, it's a bit like, see how so I know they're allowing professionals to keep training, but see how in this day and age, like, who can go and get a professional contract? Let's be honest. KSI Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
A professional boxing match. 8 weeks training. I mean, like, if that was here, that would be called white collar, and everybody would be getting like absolutely abolished about it. But they can go in and get a pro license. So what's known for us? Look, let's just give them a pro license, make them a pro then. Like, it's a different.
By the way, cheers for that, Sam. I'd just get that fight out my head and you've brought it back in. That's took me weeks to forget that one. So thanks for that one, mate.
I think that's why them came back with Roy Jones Jr. Jones Jr. and Tyson. I think one of the brothers are making a pro debut on that, Bill.
Here, by the way, the best it is, we're a wee bit off topic. He will be making some serious cash out of that as well.
I know. I see. So we, as part of our martial arts school, we also run Rivals Amateur Boxing Club. It's a separate affiliation, but it's not. It's the same. It's us. We run it, and they just released guidance the day that as of Thursday or Friday, under 18s can continue with sparring and contact. I don't know. I've not actually read what the Scottish government's guidelines are on that, but the Amateur Boxing Scotland put their protocols out saying that under 18s are allowed to go. They've got the Scottish in February, end of January, start of February. They've got their national tournament. Obviously, they want the young ones getting ready for that. So we've also got an amateur boxing club. We're affiliated. So our young boys can start sparring stuff, which is great because all the kids go, how can we not spar, Sam? Scott, how can we not get in there and do a bit? You're like, well, it's COVID. Like, how do they not? Like, it's absolute madness. So it is.
I know. And you've just something you've been speaking about there. Now, I wonder if this is part of the issue as well. Now, I'll just say, first of all, I'm an idiot, so I'm wrong all the time. But it's part of the problem with these rules and that the people that are making the rules, and you'll see it online, the people that are comment, or like on your comment, which we'll elaborate on in a minute, there was somebody who actively shared it, but shared it with the sole purpose of telling people to grasses in. I don't know what kind of person that is, but we'll touch on that in a minute. But it's part of the problem that these people don't know what it's like to get into a martial arts gym, a gym in general, don't know what the atmosphere's like in a gym and what it brings. It's not just about getting in and punching and kicking each other. It's about young guys or young lasses or whoever getting in there and the camaraderie it brings and all that. Is that part of the issue, that these people just have never experienced that, so they don't understand how important it is for young people and, well, all people rather?
A big massive part of the problem. Like if we're going to people like that, that lad actually, I'm not going to mention his name, right? Because it's a pure shame, right? But the lad was, I think he was full of the bevy. He must have been full of the bevy, right? Because that night he started commenting things. He was asking people for square goes and that, and somebody said, "Listen, pal, you deserve a slap." And he's like, well, come and fucking meet me. Blah, 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 blah. Right? The boy's an absolute clown. I'm not saying that there'll not be people getting backlash for this. Of course I'll be getting backlash for this. I get that. I'm ready for everything. As far as the scientific data and evidence is there, I've got to all. But he's asking people for square goes. But then he's deleting all his comments for the next morning. I woke up and there was no comment. So I'm on the phone to Sam. Sam, did you delete his comments? He says, no, I thought they were funny. I said they were fucking hilarious. He's making a clown of himself. And then he just deleted everything. A couple of people screenshot it and sends a message saying, check this out. There's been a few more comments since, but nothing as nasty as that lad who was commenting on it.
I think the nice people that are commenting this, that I don't think they know, as you say, they don't know that environment that we enable our members in the community to take part in. Like small group personal training gyms, martial arts gym, it's a community. It's no like pure gym where they go and they get their workout in and that's it. They come in and they're party something. It's that they've got a reason to go and they're making pals. There's just so much, and then you get mad people like that.
I saw some of the comments because obviously before speaking to you, I looked at the comments and generally for me, I didn't really, apart from that one person, everything else seemed to be positive, and obviously people want these open and want to go there. So what brought you to the decision then? Obviously, Scott, you're saying you've been looking at the science and you've been looking at data and all that. So what brought you to the decision to decide, we're opening? Because the ramifications can potentially be serious, and obviously it's an unknown quantity for you. So what brought you to that decision then ultimately that you are keeping the doors open and the community are welcome to come to the gym?
People's mental health. Your whole martial arts facility to us, it's a second home to a lot of members. It's some of the members don't go to pubs, they don't get out, they don't want to do that. That makes them feel anxious. So being in the gym, it improves their mental health. Right? It releases endorphins, your serotonin, dopamine, oxytocins. Reduces your anxiety, depression. Like, I could go on for days. Improves your immune system, your self-esteem, your cognitive functions. Like, the list is endless on how many benefits to negatives. So for me, the pros outdo any single con that any single person has to say. And if I'm up for openly debating with people, like with some proper scientific data and evidence, if they can tell me a reason why I should shut just because the government tells me to shut, don't think so. I don't think so. Somebody actually commented on the post saying, you'll do as you're told. I says, well, obviously I wouldn't be posting this if I'm going to be doing as I'm told. Right, so don't be ridiculous. You know? Is that
the problem then? It's the government are asking you to do something and Kieran, like you're saying, they're not providing the evidence to have a justifiable argument for you to actually shut the doors in. Is that your main sticking point with it?
But the thing is, they've not provided any evidence for gyms to shut. Like, I would happily sit and debate anyone who wants to debate me in this on why gyms should shut, because the numbers aren't there. Like, what we talking about, under 1% transmission in gyms. And what gets me even more, they'll keep schools and universities open, which account for over 40%. So if you want to bring the rate of infection down, you would surely shut them because that's the biggest spreader. And then they're going to keep building sites of manufacturing open, which is probably the second biggest spreader. So tell me how you can shut gyms in. Doesn't make sense.
I'm agreeing with you, Kieran. Like, it's actually 0.34% spread in gyms. Like, so you're well under 1%. You're well under 0.5% in a gym. Jesus. Right, and like you're saying, the schools, you're 35-40% and a spread rate. Don't get me wrong, the schools shouldn't be shut either. Like, the schools shouldn't be shut, but if they were going to shut anything, that should be the first place, the universities and the colleges. Like, but people need their education on the same.
Especially with kids anyway. Like, if they're not going to keep the kids out, if they're keeping kids going to school, how can we not teach kids when there's less kids in our class than what there is in an actual classroom? It's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. They're just putting this out there and then they don't know the ramifications it's going to cause, the backlash, people's mental health and all that. It's a bit, you need to, right from a young age in martial arts, you're told to stand up for what you believe in. So if you're not willing to stand up and take a stand, then you're just going to be a follower and keep doing what you're told all your life.
Here's the thing, right? So
you know,
they're going to tell us to shut. Right? I don't see any of the politicians taking any hits on this. Their wages don't drop. The businesses they're involved in don't shut. I wonder if they'd make the same decisions if they were their kind of salaries and livelihoods were impacted the same way ours were when we were being asked to shut. I guarantee they wouldn't be the same decisions.
No, definitely not. And no, see how I know some people do things on the fly, right? So let's say we can stand up and say we're opening up and tell everybody we're opening up, or some people will say I'm not opening up, but open the doors to the members anyway. Like, what's the difference? We keep on the law. I no bother, but you're not making a stand for it. You're not coming up there and saying no, we're doing this because the evidence suggests this. We can all just do things on the fly. I suppose use your loopholes. Give out professional contracts. Give somebody a badge to start working. But you're an electrician today. You need the electrician work. We'll come in, lock the door. Bring your gym gear.
These are my 4-ounce electrician gloves.
You know, a lot of our members are obviously tradesmen. You know, just come up to a shift in the gym, lock the door. You can do that, but let's take a stand as a gym community. Because if one is there, Bang. We're all going to do it. You see, I don't know the boy's name. The boy for Liverpool that took a stand.
That boy named Capo.
Hero, absolute hero.
Class.
Everything. Well, his videos are absolutely class. I have a good time watching the videos.
And the point with that was, though, he took a stand, and it was it turned out to be the right call. And I think obviously the support he got as well, I think spoke volumes for down there.
Here's the problem with that, though, right? I think, see, like Scotland, I think like we used to have a reputation as being quite kind of ferocious and would stand up for each other. I don't really think it's like that in Scotland anymore. Whereas in Liverpool, like they would all back each other up and they would all stay open. Like, for example, I've got a gym across the road from me, and when we were allowed to do outdoor training, we bought gazebos and all that, and we were all doing it outside. That guy was taking every opportunity to try and grass me into the council. Did it 3 or 4 times. So that's your problem right there. You can't even get your other business owners that know exactly what situation you're in to back you up. Whereas maybe if we had a bit more of that spirit at Liverpool, we'd actually have a chance. But I just think there's too many wet wipes in Scotland to do it.
That's just jealousy, that, Kieran. I think, in my opinion, like, we posted that post, right, and a few gyms copied it, literally word for word, within our area. Within our area in North Lanarkshire, and they literally copied it and just changed the name to their gym's name, which I wasn't envious of. I was proud that, you know what, these guys are sticking by themselves. I took it a fair bit of time taking the word and all that, and that guy just copy and pasted it, right? Maybe I wish he'd done it before me so I could copy and paste his post. You know, like, stick together. Like, obviously you're doing better, Kieran, than your man across the road.
That's the problem. It's just jealousy, but like strive for better. Like, I hope the guy across the road for you does great, and I hope you do great. I hope we've actually got a gym across the road for us as well, a taekwondo around the back is, and I hope they do fantastic. I hope their members are striving through the roof at the minute. I really want to see people do well. There's enough business out there for everyone.
Aye. Like, there's enough pieces of pie for everyone. You're right, mate.
I guess that's the problem. The country seems divisive at the minute, with this obviously being a sort of touchy subject. But do you guys not feel that we're at a point now where people's opinions are starting to turn? That the first lockdown's happened. It's obviously it's not worked, and now we're into this second stage. And I'd like to just get your thoughts on something quickly as well. Do you have any thoughts on exactly why they seem to be going at the gyms at the moment when the numbers are so low and it doesn't add up?
I think it's just an easy target for them. Like, if you look at the restaurants and pubs, they'll probably bring in a lot more tax revenue than we do. So, like, they can tend to stick up for themselves a wee bit more because they'll probably bring a bit more coin to the table. Whereas if they go at us, we probably not get as many people kind of high up in government or councils to help lobby, and we bring less money to the table. So it's a total easy target. They know if they go at gyms, they're not going to get much comeback on it.
Aye. That makes sense. And unfortunately, it seems that other industries are getting hit as well. Me and Scott were kind of chatting off air. I won't get into too much details or names of that, but we kind of know a person in common who's got a pub, and he's sort of been told that he's allowed to stay open but only sell juice. So obviously he's not got any access to government funds or anything like that.
They're only doing that so they can say, "Oh, we don't need to give you any money because you're open."
Aye, 100%.
Tactical thing.
So for you guys,
never actually seen a politician in the gym, if I'm honest with you. Like, I don't think they understand what actually happens, and especially independent community gyms. Your bigger companies, I think they're a wee bit different. But we know every single member that comes in our door. Likewise, all our independent gyms in our area and in Scotland in general. If somebody comes in your door, you know them. You know what I mean? You're making them part of your family. Whereas these politicians, they don't know what that's like.
Right, I think that's been a problem for the start, Sammy. They've generalised all gyms in together, like as if every gym's a Pure Gym or a David Lloyd or a Nuffield or that. Like, I probably speak to our members like every day. Like, I speak to like every member at least probably once a day, either message or seen them. Whereas like in a Pure Gym or or a David Lloyd, there's probably 900 members, there's no sense of community. There needs to be some sort of differentiation between like a martial arts gym or a small group PT or what I do than just like a big commercial gym.
Unfortunately, we've been tarred by that same brush, like, because we're a funny divide. It's a martial arts. It's only class bases we do. Although we've got a gym in as well. It's a tiny, it's a wee room. We like you're saying, it's PTs get in, but we're all class based. So we're not actually a gym. We're registered as a school of martial arts. So does that mean we're a school? So for education? So we're staying home. Like, yeah. Just call a spade a spade. You know, I'm a school. I'm staying home. Like, I could be doing that all day long, right? But I'm not going to. I'm going to stick by my guns and say, no, we're staying home. Here's the evidence why we're staying home. If anybody wants to call us out on it, feel free to have an open discussion. I don't want to argue with people. I'll discuss it with people without a problem.
And have you had anybody since the post, and you've obviously made your stance clear on what you guys are doing going forward, has anybody at all reached out to you or anybody to have a discussion out with ourselves, obviously?
Aye. We had an MP messages sticking by us. We had a councillor messages privately sticking by us. We've had a lot of messages of people sticking by us with some different scientific data that I've not read as such. Different groups that we've been added to. Since that post, it's grew arms and legs. And the more positive side, there's been very, very few negatives of this post. And like we spoke about prior to we're on the call, it's the people who have never been to gyms or martial arts facilities that are saying, no, this is terrible. When the facts are the facts. Like, the transmission rate is super low in gyms. It's crazy.
So I guess it's going to be, I mean, how do you foresee the next, I'm asking you a silly question here, but I'll ask it anyway. How do you foresee the coming weeks? How do you see them playing out for you guys?
I think Sturgeon's definitely going to lock down again. You can tell by the way she's angling already. What I find annoying about it is she keeps on saying we may as well do it time in with like the new furlough payments or whatever. They'll be made available. Well, that means you're not really doing it on science, are you? You're doing it based on a financial decision. And the furlough thing's stupid anyway because it doesn't actually help businesses. So if I get furlough for my staff, it's not actually covering the cost of my rent and all the other costs I'm getting or my loss of revenue. So like, essentially you're paying my staff, but they would probably make you get let go if we shut anyway. Whereas if you keep them open and listen to the facts and rather than chase the money, everyone would probably be getting on a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to pan out. Like, at the start of the year, if somebody says, oh, you're going to be shut for 6 months, like, you'd tell them to beat it. But I think this is here for a wee while. It's not something that's just going to go away. It's going to be here for the next year or two, or maybe longer than that. Hopefully no. But the way your government's set up, it's totally madness. And then the BBC News is just trying to scare you into fear tactics, into telling you what you should believe in. And there's my dogs. It's not right at all. Do you know? I think as we're going the actual science and the actual evidence, and if it's so low numbers anyway right now, but if there's any other additional measures that we maybe need to put in place, I'm sure as independent community gyms we would do that. You know,
yeah.
We want to keep open for our members. We want to provide the service for that. So hopefully we just get the chance to do that and just without potentially having all sorts of fines if we stand up, and we just don't know how it's going to happen, you know. Only time will tell.
Gyms and martial art communities, even I'm going as far as the wider gyms, the pure gyms, the David Lloyd gyms, not the community gyms, they should be made essential. Like, this should be essential. Like, when do you ever hear the government telling you what vitamins to take, what supplements to take, what exercise to do? Right? That they're forever pushing COVID. Right? And now they're posting 20 COVID deaths in the past 28 days of a positive case. What the fuck? So I test positive for COVID today. I walk out and get hit by a bus tomorrow. I'm dying of COVID. Come on. Like, seriously. And then there's another thing. The global flu is down by 97.9%. Flu just doesn't disappear. I'm not saying this is flu. Don't tarnish me with that. I'm not saying that's flu at all. I understand it's a completely different virus, similar to flu. Right? I know it's not the flu before they hit me and saying, I guess this cunt's at it. Right? But like, what is this all about? Like, seriously? No,
that's it. Does it ultimately then boil down to the government? I mean, we're not breaking any news here or coming up with any conspiracy theories. The government have come out and said in interviews that the test is not an accurate test. That's been said openly. So we're not cracking any codes or anything like that here. That's pretty public knowledge. So is that part of the issue as well? Is just the testing we've got?
Imagine somebody telling you they're shutting your business on a test that could be 93% inaccurate.
Aye, the false positives. It's scary. Imagine getting to isolate for 2 weeks with a false positive. So like you're saying, Kieran, at 93%.
Here's another example. Right? One of the boys that works for me ended up off work for 10 days because he had to self-isolate because he came in contact with someone that had it. He tested negative 3 times and he couldn't come back to work. But bear in mind, because he was down, I was having to work 5:30 to 9:30 in the gym every day. He tested negative 3 times and he couldn't come back to work. What's the point of having a track and trace system when you've got people going and getting tested multiple times and they can't even get back to work? Frightening.
It's
that's madness. Like, you can go into the supermarket, 1,000 people in the supermarket, you can go on your train and the work, all sorts of people on the train, you can go so many places where you're not getting any details, but then you go into a restaurant or a gym, get your detail there, and if you've got coronavirus, then you've got it for there. Well, how have you not got it for one of the other places if no track and traced you? It doesn't make sense at all.
I actually went on public transport for the first time. Well, I've been on it this week in Glasgow, and she just came through the wee gate. She put your ticket in and go through. It's fucking madness going through them, man. It's like all sardined in. You're like, what the fuck? There's the wee dots you're supposed to stand on to line in, but it's like just every cunt's like, fuck that. We're all getting on. I want to get on the train first, even though we all get off at the same time. I'm like, Jesus fuck, man. If I'm going to catch it anywhere, it's going to be trying to go on this fucking train to Shorts. It's the other thing as well. I think probably at New Yearly we were all celebrating, going, yes, 2020's coming. I feel like a dick for doing that now. Fucking. So,
fuck. You just cancelled that, mate.
I know.
Aye. What's your thoughts on Christmas and all that? Like, all those are saying, like, the other day I spoke to, like, they're going to have a Christmas dinner, whether it's with 15 people, 20, like, your family's your family. Like, so if you lose a family member and you didn't spend 6 months with them, when you lose them next year, what would you do? Would you go back in time and spend that time with them? Of course you would. I mean, what's like?
You can't be telling people they can't have Christmas with their families.
No.
A digital Christmas, what the fuck?
Oh, that's totally.
And what's worse is you've got the chief of the police and that going on trying to get people to graft their neighbours for going round for Christmas dinner. What type of place are we living in?
One better than that. We've got coppers inside the gym. I'm also not going to name any names. They're like, Scott, we don't give a fuck. Like, they're not really caring. Says the gym stays open. We come in. Obviously, they'll try and do their very best that they can't get any fines. But they say we generally don't care about it. We want the gym to stay open, and that's coming from the police themselves. Like, wow,
it's an awkward position for the police spot because they at the end of the day, they're doing their job and they're trying to feed their family. They might not agree with it, but I'm sure we've all done things in a job where we're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that.
You can see it though. When they've been posting these videos down in Liverpool, when they're going into gyms, you can see they don't want to do it, but they're obviously it's their job. They need to. But I think to be fair, in Liverpool they stopped going in. They just basically eventually said we're standing by the gyms and we're not going to go and find them anymore.
Which is a good thing, and it's something you want to see. And you mentioned there about the police chief coming out and saying, obviously, grass and this, grass and that. I saw a great post for somebody, and it basically said that especially if you stay up in shots, you definitely need your neighbours sometimes to dig you out the snow. But it basically says if you're stuck and you can't get your car out in the snow, it's not the police or it's not anybody like that or a politician that's going to come and help you. It's your neighbours. So why would you turn against your neighbours? And you know what I mean? Obviously it happens, but it almost feels like they're trying to divide communities and stuff like that at times.
Don't get me started in the Scottish government. All they do is cause division, I think. Yeah, they have done for the last 6 years.
I thought you'd be in a good mood tonight. Rangers have been doing well, so I thought you were going to be nice and happy tonight.
Mate, if Nicola Sturgeon and SNP make me miss 55, mate, I'm going to be raging. I'm not going to lie.
What's your stance on the fact that they're not letting people in football stadiums? Do
you know what I find mental? Doing in England, right? People are going to watch like West Ham in a cinema, but they can't go and watch it socially distanced outside.
It doesn't make sense.
Even there was I can't mind the football team, but see how they've got the executive suites that look over the pitch. They're allowed to watch it in there on TV, but they need to blank out the windows so they can't see the game, but they can watch it in the box, but rather than sitting in the stand, distance or whatever.
It's strange when you've got just take it to Rangers and Celtic, the size of the stadiums. I mean, you don't have to fill them out, but you could get them at least 20-25% capacity and have it's kind of like in a larger scale what you're saying about your gym. You've got a massive large gym where there's space there that you can socially distance. You could do that at football games as well. I don't see why not, but it's almost like they're just, I don't know.
Oh, definitely. I think see how back as I say, the first lockdown a bit different. You didn't know what was happening, but this time they're just throwing stuff and saying, "Oh, that's what they're doing." But more people are taking a stand for themselves. So I'd actually like to see Scottish football starting up and saying, "No, we're going to let our fans back in. We're going to have XYZ protocols put in place." I'm sure the fans will get behind them. I'm sure the general public that support football will all stand behind that and say, aye, as long as everything's in place, measures are in place to keep everybody safe, then why not? Do you know what I mean?
And here's the thing as well, right? So see for any other big decisions in the country, you'd have a vote in it. So I think if there's going to go into any other lockdown, why don't we just have a big national vote on what's going to happen? Because surely at this point, the public should decide what's happening.
Aye. Well, it's almost like the public have been told that we can't trust you to look after yourselves, so we'll deal with it. It's almost like you're more grabbing your horn or something and telling you no, you're not old enough to make your own choices yet. That's kind of almost what it feels like. It's a weird feeling because he's here. We've never experienced anything like this in our lives, and so it's a strange feeling. But I think we'll just a couple of more things, then we'll wrap up on that. So Scott, are you expecting too much blowback for this, or are you kind of hoping it's just?
Realistically, I'm not expecting much blowback. Or minimum blowback, right? Because people see the gym as like a pillar of the community. It's only people out with our community who's then saying, "Oh, this is out of order, shouldn't be doing this, blah blah blah." So our community step by us. So why should somebody else be trying to grasp me in who's never stepped foot in my gym? I could see the difference if maybe you step foot and you don't agree with it. Fair enough. But these people that are commenting on this stuff, they've never stepped foot in my gym. They don't know me. They don't know me as Rival Gym's face. They don't know Rival Gym. They're seeing Rival's Gym as a gym. It's no, we're a school, we're a family run charitable business, and that's just what we are.
And I think also the message, something you said earlier, why you're taking this stand, it's important because people are going to start coming out with things like money and stuff like that, but it's important to get across to know that it seems like this you're doing this, it's not for you. It's not for Sam. This is for the community as a whole that you're taking this stand, correct?
Yep, 100%. Somebody actually commented on the on my Facebook post. It was something about capitalism, then money before health, or something along those lines. Right? I didn't reply back to the woman, but we are actually a registered charity. We're not for profit organisation. And all our books are online. You can see everything that we do on what money goes in, what money comes back out. Anybody can see that. So then you'll understand. Run a charity run association that is not for profit. How can I be for the money? Go and tell me how that works. Yes, we get a salary to work within a charity, but it's way less than salary than what I would get working elsewhere. But like I've said to you before, it's a passion. It's not actually work for me, so I'll do this 10 times out of 10.
See, even to be fair, see if it was for the money, people shouldn't try and make people feel bad about that either, because it's really pissing me off that people are that happy to see people's livelihoods or businesses they've worked hard go right down the drain. We've took a few members recently from gyms that have shut down, and it's sad because these people, instead of standing up for themselves, have basically they've let their business shut rather than actually stand up for themselves, which I find absolutely mental. So I don't think people should be scared to say it might not be about the money as well for people that are in more commercial gym environment as well. Of course it's about the money. Everyone's got to keep the roof over their head. They've got to feed their family. So I don't think that should be kind of pushed under the rug either.
At the end of the day, as well, when you've got kids to feed and that as well, obviously you need to support your family. Sorry, Sam, on you go.
It's just people hate success. A lot,
especially in Scotland.
Psychology tells us that the majority of people are going to do what they're told to do. We've been brought up that from a young age. You know what I mean? Your mum tells you can't do this, you're going to listen to your mum. Right? It's not until you get a wee bit older when you start being able to make your own decisions and choices. If you don't agree with something, you're not going to do it. But a lot of people, they'll go and they'll work their minimum wage jobs and they'll be happy with that. And they see something doing a bit, being successful, making a bit of money, and they don't like that. How can we not be just let everything on, be happy for the success? It's mad,
that's
isn't it?
Well, I hope you're right there, Sam. If folk that don't do what they're told grow up to be successful, my 3-year-old's going to be brilliant. Doesn't he listen to what I say? I've stuck to 2. I've got 2 horns, so I can't handle any more than that. And that was another thing with the lockdown.
Just a canter, mate. It's all right. Anywhere to it's the same. It's plain sailing. You run it. You wore a t-shirt. It's going to have to into you.
I'm not sure I'm believing you, Scott. There, mate.
I know. That was something with the lockdown. I seen all these folk out there dating with the sun and all that, with a beer. And I took half my head shaved at one point and I couldn't get the other half shaved because I'm chasing a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old about the house. It was an interesting time, to say the least. But listen, thanks very much for coming on and chatting to us. Obviously, we know this is it's quite an important subject at the moment. Some people will agree, some people won't agree. But at the end of the day, like you said, Scott, you're open to a sensible debate with anyone who wants to do that, rather than maybe just stupid throwaway comments on social media. So again, I appreciate you giving us the time.
Listen, I wouldn't even mind the comments on it, pure negativity. If they want a debate on a Zoom live call with the scientific data, I'm more than happy to do that. So any single person watching this who thinks that we're in the wrong, I'm happy to do a live debate with you. Anybody. You
can host it, James. It can be like Donald Trump and Joe Biden. They can just fucking go at it.
Hey, listen, lads, small mercies. At least we're in Scotland and nowhere in America. They know. Fucking hell. We're getting off lightly here, I think, by the way. I think it's about to explode there. So, I thought you would maybe come on with a MAGA hat or something here.
Oh, mate, I was actually saying in the gym today I was wanting someone to buy me one. I don't think I'd go and buy one myself, but if somebody buys me one, I will wear it.
I was half expecting it, so. But no, like I said, listen, thanks very much for coming on, and I think it's like I say, it's quite important that he's got on and speak about this stuff. And obviously, Scott, Sam, for the future, I hope everything goes well, and I know you're going to hear the local community all behind you, and I think what you're doing is probably the right thing.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Right. And as always, Kieran, thanks very much for jumping on, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries.